One of the biggest mistakes that I continue to see with businesses is not understanding exactly what data to track and how to visualize it in a way that makes sense to maximize your marketing and sales. So in this short little video today, I wanted to walk you through kind of the top things that we take a look at when it comes to, do we even know if the marketing and sales funnel is working effectively? If this is your first time on the channel, my name is Tanner OBrien. I'm the CEO of Action Coach Benefit Group, the founder of Benefit Marketing, and the author of The Ownership Advantage. I have been working inside of our Action Coach business for the last 6 years. We've grown our business well over 500% in revenue and close to 900% in net income in just the first 3 years of being in business. And it's because of the things that I'm going to share with you here in this particular episode. The journey starts here with what we call the 5 ways engine, or the money-making machine inside of your business. When you understand the mechanics of how the money-making machine actually operates, it's much easier to break it out and figure out, how do we fine-tune this thing for the future? This is broken up into, really starts with 3 primary numbers and then breaks into 5 additional numbers that really make the most sense in understanding this mechanism. So those first 3 numbers are customers or clients, revenue, and profitability. Usually, when I talk to most business owners, they can tell me those 3 numbers, even if they have to go look them up quickly. The challenge is, if we want to fine-tune this machine, we can't just all of a sudden magically get more customers. We can't just magically get more sales or revenue. We can't magically get more profitability. But we can take a step back and look at what leads to these. How are these things comprised? For customers, in the simplest terms, you have leads and you have conversion rate. The number of people that you've connected with, maybe have names on a list, and how many of them converted and actually purchased something from you. Once you have your customers, then it's a matter of how many times do they buy from you on average. So if we look over the course of a year, do they buy from you 1 time? Do they buy from you 10 times? How many times do they actually make a purchase? And how much do they spend each time that they make a purchase? Customers, average transactions, and average dollar value gets you to the sales or the revenue number. Once you have revenue, then it's a matter of what's left over after we have our expenses. So you've got overhead expenses, you've got your cost of goods or cost of fulfillment, right? If you've got a service, it might be your time or your team's time. If it is a good or a widget or something else that you sell, an actual physical product, then it's going to be the actual cost to make that, right? There's expenses that come along with it. So how much is left afterwards? We look at our profit margin, the percentage that's left. Revenue times profit margin gets you to that profitability number, right? So if this is the basics, then we can take a step back and look at, from a marketing and sales perspective, how do we maximize this? How do we fine tune this for the future? And that's where we take a look at the funnel when it comes to leads and conversion rate. Leads and conversion rate, very broad statement or very broad way of looking at it. We got to kind of break it apart a little bit further and look at where specifically in the process can we make changes. This is ultimately your marketing funnel, your lead engine, right? And when we take a look at the lead engine, there are traditionally about 6 areas or 6 stages where the lead or the process can be won or lost. The first 3 are going to be awareness, lead, and appointment. So if you think about it this way, this is really taking leads and breaking it into 3 different categories. First, you have awareness. Somebody has to know that you exist. Then once they know that you exist, ideally we can turn them into leads. And leads we'll just use as a definition, somebody saying, hey, I'm interested in what you do, and I would like some more information. I might be open to a conversation, right? So that's going to be a lead for this definition. Once you have people that have expressed interest, then it's a matter of bringing them into what we'll call appointment for now. But it's really that first conversation where you get to go in, or maybe it's the first chance for them to land on your website and decide if they want to make a purchase. But it's that moment where we have that sales conversation in whatever format that looks like for you. Once we have the sales conversation, then we go from appointment, we go to sale, right? Once we have somebody who's purchased something, they've become a shopper in our business, we want to turn them into a customer, which means they become accustomed to doing business with us. To become a customer, we need repeat business. We need them to come back and buy more than once. So if we go back to that average transactions over a particular time period, we don't want just one, we want multiple times of them buying from us. This is repeat business. This is turning a shopper into a customer, accustomed to doing business with us. As we get people to do more business with us, the final bucket, the final 6th area here is referrals. Do we get them to actually not only stay and pay, but say and tell everybody else about what it is that we do. Referrals. So those 6 buckets: awareness, lead, appointment, sale, repeat business, and then referrals. Okay. Each one of these has an opportunity for us to fine tune and work on. How do we increase awareness? How do we increase the number of people who've seen us and increase that conversion rate into a lead, right? So there's literally hundreds of strategies that we can go on for each one of these things here. And we can take a look at what's the most important one for us, right? What's right for me may not be right for you in your business today. My business is professional services. It's in coaching. Yours might be in a physical product or service. How we gain awareness and how we turn awareness into leads might be slightly different in the strategies that we need to use. But the point is, we can start looking at where are the breakdowns in this funnel so that we can determine, is it an awareness problem? Is it a lead generation problem? Or is it a sales conversation problem? And we can tackle those in different ways as a result of knowing what we can see in front of us. This is why the visibility of the things that we track matter so much. The other component of this, since I'm really bullish on this idea of understanding our numbers and how they fit into the greater context of this marketing and sales engine, there are some numbers that we really need to know. We need to know our cost per lead. We need to know our acquisition costs. We need to know what the lifetime value is. So let me give you an example of how this works so that you can run the numbers for yourself. Let's say that we've got $5,000 in marketing spend. So you can choose a time period. Let's assume a month in this particular case, but you could do a quarter, you could do a year, depending on what your budget is and how you want to take a look at it. If you've got high volume of leads and things like that coming in, you could probably do a week or a month. If you've got really low volume of leads, then maybe spread it out over the quarter so you have enough data to start running some basic stuff here. So take your marketing spend, whatever that was, right? In this case, I'm going to use $5,000 for the course of a month. We're going to divide that $5,000 by the number of leads that we got. So again, we determined what is the definition of a lead. A lead is just going to be a name on a list. Somebody that has said, hey, I'm interested in the stuff that you do. I clicked on a button, I landed on a landing page, filled out a form, called into the store, whatever it is, right? These are leads. We've captured their information. We put them into a database. So you got 5,000. We're going to say we got 250 leads. So 5,000 divided by 250 gives us 20, right? So this is $20. This is our cost per lead. That is how we do this math. $20 for the cost per lead. It cost me $20 to go out and put names on this list, put people into this database. All right. So now let's take a look and say, well, how do we get to our cost to acquire? If we know that we've got our cost per lead at $20, well, how many leads does it take on average for me to get one sale? So you can look at this a couple ways. You can take your leads, start having conversations, and figure out it took me 5 leads before I got one sale on average. Maybe I got to 10 and I got 2 of them. So again, same math. We got 5 leads to get to one sale. That's a 20% conversion rate. So if you know your conversion rates here, you know that on average, if I've got leads and my conversion rate from lead to sale is 20%, then I know that I've got that number. So we're going to use that number. If it's 1 out of 5, so we're going to say $20 is our cost per lead, and we're going to times that, multiply it by the 5, right? So 1 out of 5 customers turn or leads turn into a customer. So I've got 5 leads, $20 times 5 leads gives us $100. So now I know that my cost to acquire is $100. Now, for some businesses, $100 might be really expensive to buy a customer. In businesses like ours, $100 seems really inexpensive. We have to take a look at how does this actually work. So in this case, I'm going to say $100 seems really expensive to buy a customer. And the reason for that is we're going to say that on average, these customers only spend $100, okay? So they only spend $100 when they make a purchase from you. But as we just did the math before, we found out that it cost us $100 to acquire them, right? Put $5,000 in, I got a couple customers, and it cost me $100 to buy this person. And now this person's only spending $100. So just on revenue alone, I didn't even get my money back. I'm at best break even until you get them to buy again, right? So this is why the repeat business piece matters so much. If you have somebody who you acquired for $100, they spent $100, but they buy twice from you in the year. Over the course of the year, they come back and they buy again. You didn't have to go reacquire them. They're already in your database. They're already accustomed to buying from you. So now they're coming in, they're buying again. They bought twice. Now we've got $100 the first time, $100 the second time. I only spent $100 to acquire them. Okay, well now this seems like it should be profitable. But we could take a step further. How long do you retain them? How long do they continue to buy from you? So not only do they buy more than once in a year, but we're going to retain them for 3 years. So every year they come back and they buy at least twice, spending on average $100. You got your $100, multiply it by 2 times per year. You got $200. You multiply that by 3 years. You got $600. So from this one customer that you bought for $100, you've generated $600 of revenue. All right, now we're cooking. These are the right numbers to know. But hang on. There's one more piece that often is overlooked because we kind of forget that there's additional pieces here. What's the margin? What's the profit margin on fulfilling your product or service? There's always a cost. For some of you, that cost is higher. For some of you, the cost is lower, right? If you have a product, physical product, you have material and production costs to be able to produce and deliver that thing. If you're in a service-based business, maybe it's home services, you have a cost to send a team out and actually go fulfill on the service. If you have software, there is still your time or your teams or your developers' time, the hosting cost. There are costs that are spread across the number of customers or clients that you have. Again, some may be really small, some are much larger. In this particular case, let's say that our margin is 25%. We keep, after everything is said and done, after we paid all of our costs, we paid you back for your time, 25% is leftover as profit. So over this lifetime value, right? Average sale at $100, they buy twice per year. We got $200 a year that we bring into the business in terms of revenue, but they stay for at least 3 years. We make $600, but we only keep 25%, which means we're left with a lifetime profit of $150. All right. Well, Tanner, if I go back to my previous math, I know that we acquired them for $100. Over their lifetime, I made $150, even after all costs are paid. So I made $50. That's pretty good. It's profitable, right? Well, yes, you've got $100 to acquire. You've got $150 of lifetime profit that's coming in. This is a 1.5 to 1 ratio in buying customers. Now, on the surface, that seems good. But this is really under this 3 to 1, we're buying customers at this point. We're not building an overall asset that compounds. Over a 3 to 1 ratio, meaning that your lifetime profit is 3 times more than the cost to acquire, you're starting to build an asset. This is where it gets really important. When you understand these numbers, you can start to calculate out what's the payback period, right? If you're having to spend that $5,000 to acquire customers, and you know that you can get customers for $100, but you don't make that $50 in profit until year 3, you get a long period of time that you're covering the investment up front before you ever realize the return. This is the challenge. This is the thing that if you don't know these numbers, it can be the fastest path to killing your business. You have a limited amount of funding. You have a limited amount of capital that you can actually deploy. If every customer you buy takes 3 years, how much capital are you going to need to sustain until you start to see the profitability? If you can hold long enough, you will be profitable and it will be a successful business. The challenge is most of us are not equipped with enough capital to survive that time period, which means we make it a year, 2 years in. We're like, dude, I'm not making any money. My bank account is empty. Yeah, people will continue to buy, but I can't wait for their 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th sale before I can take money back. Like, I'm broke today. And you see this all the time. It's because we don't understand this math. So my encouragement here is not only do we need to know the numbers, we need to visualize it so we can see what's going on. We need it in front of us so we know exactly what numbers to go take a look at and how do we start tweaking these. Because in this moment, we can take a look at it and go, well, how do we decrease that cost to acquire, or how do we increase the amount that they spend from us earlier and ultimately the lifetime value? If we can shift this balance here, we can capture more money faster and we're able to sustain longer to be able to stay in the game and continue to get to that profitability point. So how do we do this? I'm going to give you the kind of the 6 core areas where the biggest leaks tend to be within a funnel, within a marketing and sales process that you can actually go start working on today. And the first key here is not to look at what strategy do I deploy. It's which areas is best to start looking for the right strategy. Like I said before, there's 100 different things that you could go do. The focus is what's the 1 or 2 things that are going to move the needle the most. So I want you to look at these 4 kind of most common leaks in a funnel and see which one of these might be a big area for you. Because once you solve these, we might be able to decrease our acquisition costs by getting more leads or more customers with the same spend. First, it's no tracking. So exactly what we've been talking about here today, right? If you don't have tracking in place, if you don't have the numbers to be able to see, well, you're not going to be able to figure out where is the funnel broken? Where is something being held back so that I can go fine tune this money-making machine, right? Second is going to be a weak offer. We're positioning the wrong offer at the wrong times to the wrong people. And it might be the wrong offer to the right people. It might be the right offer to the right people at the wrong time. You can look at this in different ways. And then is that offer compelling enough for them to want to make the next step? So we got to really audit and take a look at the offer. The next is going to be slow follow-up. This can be things like speed to lead. If somebody reaches out to you on your website, how fast do you or someone on your team get back to the person? If you take a week to get back to them, they probably went and already had their problem solved. If you get back to them in minutes, you're going to capture them before they start looking for something else. Not only that, but between meetings, how fast do you follow up with people? How engaged do you keep them? Now, some of this can be phone calls, some of this can be emails, some of this can be text messages, some of this can just be your content online. Do they see you? Do they continue to get value from you? How frequently are we following up? Which leads us into kind of the 4th bucket, which is no nurture. If you are only focused on kind of sales calls, and you don't do anything else, you have no emails that are going out, there's no email nurture, there's no get them into watching YouTube videos, to reading books, to seeing content that you post on your social platforms. Like, you've got to get them into your sphere of influence. This is the nurture aspect. If we do none of that, they're going to forget that you exist, even if you're in a conversation with them once a week. We want them to, we need to stay top of mind. We need to continue to give them value. The 5th area is going to be one and done, meaning I got them to buy once and then I just went off and totally forgot that they were somebody that bought from me once upon a time. We want to encourage the repeat business, which means one of the fastest, easiest things that you can do. And I'm going to encourage you to take this as an offline action item. If you're here watching this video still or listening to this episode, you've got to write this down. You got to go do this today if it's something that you have not done. You ready for it? If you have a database, even if that database lives in your point of sale system, extract the data, grab the emails, and then send everybody an email and say, hey, it's been a while. You were on my mind recently. Would love for you to come back. Would love for you to stop in. Let's have a chat. Invite them to the next step. Just reactivate that database. It's one of the easiest, simplest, cheapest things you can do. And if they have a fond experience from you for the first time, the likelihood of them responding to that or seeing that in a favorable manner is really good. Okay. And the 6th area seems crazy, I know, but especially as you bring people onto your team, like, this does happen. We never ask. We never ask for the sale. We never ask for the next sale. We never ask for referrals because if we get stuck and don't feel comfortable doing it. It's like, oh, I don't want to seem too pushy. I don't want to ask them. It's like, dude, if you have something that they actually need, you have an obligation. You have a responsibility to make the offer to solve the problem that they told you about. You've got to make the ask. It is crazy to me when I analyze sales conversations and I review conversations with people that I've been a part of, like, the number of times that we just simply don't make the ask because we're uncomfortable in the moment is a lot higher than you would imagine. Now, if you're hardcore into sales, you're really, really good at sales, like, that's probably not your issue. But as you grow a team, as you start to expand out, do different things, it could creep up. The point is just make sure that it's something of focus so that we're not falling into the trap of just not asking for the sale. So these are the 6 areas to kind of help clean up those leaks. So as we bring kind of this conversation to a close, I really want to kind of wrap this up for you. The first is really understanding how does the mechanics of this money-making machine work? What are the components that I or my team can go in and start to fine tune and work on? And what are the numbers I need to track? We don't need to track absolutely everything, but it is imperative to really know what's my cost per lead, what's the cost to acquire somebody, how long do they stay with me and how much do they spend? And most importantly, how much profit do I generate and on what time scale? Because if it's taking me 3, 4, 5 years in order to get my money back, I've got a really long, hard period ahead of me that I'm going to have to put capital out until I finally see that come back into the funnel, right? So know these numbers, take a look at where things might be falling off in your funnel, and then look for just 1 or 2 areas that seem to be the biggest constraint, the biggest bottleneck in the entire process. And then we can work on strategies to deploy in those areas. And if you want .com/apply, link will be in the description below, and join our team for 2 weeks where we can implement this stuff with you and start to identify what's the 1 or 2 strategies that will work the best for you at this particular moment in time. Because we can all go out and do 100 different things, but it's not about doing 100 things. It's about finding the 1 or 2 things that's going to move the needle the most for you. And if you found this interesting, I encourage you to subscribe. Here on September 25th of 2026, I will be launching my book, The Ownership Advantage, that has a lot of tactics and things like this that we talked about here today, broken down into the book from a real world perspective. Like not sitting on a mountaintop, going through the process saying, hey, look at me, I've accomplished all these things, and more, I'm in the middle of it, just like you are. Come join along me in this journey. If that sounds interesting to you, if you are watching this before September 25th, 2026, there is a link in the description below for the waiting list. Otherwise, it will be available on Amazon for sale on the 25th of September. I've been Tanner O'Brien. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.